Hey guys, today we're going to go over chapter 5, the final boss of number 15. So on hard mode this will be 14, on expert this will be 13. So N5-15, H5-14 and E5-13. Now this is all the same boss, it's the same level layout, it's just they move it around a bit. So the main thing to note on this, the boss is Elowen, or they've called her Jungle Master for whatever reason. There will be exploding suicide units and there will be very strong Ripper units. These are basically the main things to watch out for. Now in brief, the strategy is basically as follows. Suicide units will run across the top lane first, so you will want to put a defender in front and then stagger a second fighter or defender diagonally behind them. This is so that when the defenders explode they don't hurt the adjacent tile units. You'll want to put your healers on the area behind them and then have some DPS to support them, so mages or marksmen. If you have a 2-tile fighter such as Scorch or Iron built, then you can place them behind the defender on the top side. This is because at this area, this is where Elowen will go and you will want most of your damage to be on the top lane. Now you see these small green podiums, they poison everyone in adjacent tiles. These Rippers will do bonus damage to anyone who is affected by the poison and you will quickly die and lose your units. The main difficulty in this encounter is Elowen comes with several Rippers. You will need to tank and kill them fast enough before the main wave of Rippers arrive at the end. So this is really a DPS race against Elowen's healing to see if you can kill the Rippers before the second wave arrives. There are a few ways of doing this. You can use Sitnauta or Shark King Awakened to freeze and slow the enemies to prevent the waves from reaching you. But primarily the obstruction is going to be DPS. You need to kill them fast enough so that the first wave dies before the second one arrives and then you'll be fine. So with that, let's get started and we'll start on normal mode. This is the team I'll take. I have 2 ranged DPS, a mage and a marksman. I have 3 fighters and I have 2 healers. Ideally you would substitute in a defender, I just don't have many that aren't built. And I would recommend making sure that you're taking advantage of Lord benefits such as Iron. So as for placement, we'll put our best fighter on the top lane as this is the one that gets the most action. And then soon after we'll place a fighter on the bottom row. You may need to place your healer first before your second fighter, but you can see what one works for you. I'll place Lightlock covering both. And now I can start placing down my damage units. You will also need another fighter or defender behind your top row, as this row gets several enemies stacking and you will not be able to block them with a single hero. I will place down my second DPS, but I will put them back here, that way it allows for my Maidan to reach with her heal on Gluttony. As you can see, if you place within this area of the poisonous traps, you'll get affected by Corrupt Nova, which will poison you. And now this is the main part. We have 2 Rippers here, 1 more Ripper coming from the top, and we have Elowen healing everyone. We also have 3 adds, so this becomes quite difficult to handle. This is where you want to start dropping your ultimates to try to deal with this wave as fast as you can. As you can see, Elowen is able to heal 3 people at a time, so these 2 Rippers and herself. But I can just about DPS enough to kill 1 of the Rippers in time. My Harpoon is not reaching, I placed him back. He is slightly geared for normal mode, so I didn't want him to steal the entire show. And as you can see, I've dispatched the first wave and now there are 5 Rippers showing up. If you only had a fighter, 1 would get through. Assuming you haven't killed Elowen as well, that's 4, so you definitely need 2. It is quite hard to tank this group if the first group is still around. It's almost not possible. So you definitely want to make sure by the time these guys are ready, you have killed the first wave. That is the main way you handle this mission. And then at this point, the rest is just a kill. Usually though, Elowen will still be alive at this point. And the rest of it is pretty simple. So we'll move on to hard mode now. Now for hard mode, this is my team. I have taken an actual defender this time, Lavania. I've also still got Gluttony and Scorch. I have taken Iron, though he will not be placed most likely. He's just there for the leader benefit. As you can see, I have Lightlock still, and Lavania is also a member of the Watcher. I've also taken Dagna because I've taken 2 North members, Harpoon and Vortex, as my second healer. And in terms of DPS, I will actually take T0 as well, so I have Harpoon and T0 for DPS. And I have my fighters and my healers lined up. So as you can see, 2 healers, a tank, 2 fighters, 2 ranged DPS, and then I have 2 Lord benefits just to make sure that my core units are strong. So to start with, I'll place Lavania up front. I'll place Gluttony back here. As you can see again, the acid splash does not reach Gluttony. When the ones later on explode on Gluttony, they will reach Lavania, but she's tankier, so she'll be okay. Lightlock down to heal. I'll place some DPS as Gluttony is struggling on hard. And I will place more DPS instead of a second healer, just so I can kill these a bit sooner before they reach. And now I will place my Scorch behind Lavania so I have a bit of additional damage, though it is very low on him. And finally I will place Vortex, so I have 2 long range healers covering all of my people. I have 2 DPS and I have the 3 fighters up front. Now I have one more unit I can deploy. Sometimes I've found that leaving a defender or someone at the back, so doing this, helps if there's an overflow. If somehow like a massive wall of enemies hit the front line here and they sneak past, if you have certain healers that can heal one tile behind them, they can also cover a unit behind here. So Elowin, for example, and Midan can do that. So now that Elowin and the Rippers have arrived, my goal is to kill the Ripper wave as fast as I can in preparation for the next 5 or 6 that will arrive. So this is where you want to start popping your abilities. As you can see, the healing from Elowin is quite severe. And I'll pop Vortex's ult just so I can handle that. One of the Rippers goes down. The ads are slowly going down as well, but it is quite close. And you can see this wave is arriving, so if I do not deal with these 2 Rippers before they arrive, I am in trouble. And they just about go down. I still have plenty of time left with the back Ripper wave. And I might get Elowin before they start moving as well. Wonderful, perfect. So now I have 5 Rippers to deal with. This will be a lot of damage coming out on my tanks. Gluttony can stun one in place for a while. That gives time for them to kill it before it arrives when we have 2 beating on him. Lavania is a defender, so she'll be able to handle that by herself, and then the rest is pretty simple. So that pretty much covers hard mode, and we'll move on to expert mode. So to complete this with 3 stars, I need to take only 6 heroes. I won't go completely star-studded, as most people won't have that at this point. I will take these, as unfortunately I haven't really built many healers and I haven't built many tanks, so I'll have Captain Reeve and I'll have Elowin. And as for my DPS, I will take Lisa. I need another couple of fighters, so I'll take Raph, as he's available to most people. And this time around, I will take more DPS, as I don't have many fighters that aren't legendaries, and I want to avoid just stacking legendaries in this run. And I will also only take 1 healer, because Elowin is strong enough by herself, but you may need to take 2 healers instead. When you get to expert mission, it will largely depend on your roster. If you have legendary fighters, then it will be a lot easier. Salavic and Salazar are fantastic. Arrogance is fantastic for this kind of mission. If you've completed the campaign and you've got Volker, she's great as well. This is a very fighter heavy mission. 3 fighters would not go amiss, but I'll do it with more epics if possible. So I will take, for my front line, Raph and Captain Reeve. For my DPS, I'll take these 2. And for my final slot, I will take Sitnauta, because she is more available. My Sitnauta's freeze range is not very long, but I want to use this to help deal with the ads on the top side to prevent them getting through. So I will actually put Captain Reeve a bit closer, and I will eventually put Raph side by side with him. So they will both be taking the full effect of the poison, which is unpleasant, but I believe Elowin will be able to heal them through it, so that should not be too much of a problem. I will place Sitnauta here so she can reach further ahead, and I will place Raph here. Next up, I will make sure I have my healer down. And now I just need to get my DPS out. So you can see both the poison waves landed, but it wasn't too bad. So now I have my unit. This is my core team for this attempt. This is not what I normally use. I would normally just ram this full of Salazar and Salavic and just go ham. But for the sake of trying to use more accessible units, we have Sitnauta, Shark King, Lisa, Raph. And we can ult, because Shark King's ult comes off quite reliably. And Captain Reeve, being a defender, can hold off 3 enemies at a time. You can see Elowin is healing quite a bit. She's placed her Wood Elf. And now we have the Rippers coming along with her, the other one up top. So this is where I need to really DPS race. Again, I'm making sure I'm outside of this Corrupt Nova, because otherwise I'll take bonus damage. And now I will start popping ultimates. And now that they're all in range, I will freeze them to make it a bit easier to deal with them. You see it's a bit tight. There's a lot of healing coming out from their Elowin. But one of them goes down. I just need to kill this other one in time and I should be fine. So it is a little bit closer than I had anticipated. There we go. So there was one down. I need to kill this last one. There were 2 stacked. Did not realize. So I'll pop all my ultimates again to buy myself some time to deal with the last one. The Wood Elf from Elowin goes down. Just making this a lot more difficult. So I just need to try to keep them in place until the Wood Elf runs out. Throw that stun down from Shark King. One's going to try and slip past. I need to freeze. Need to keep my Raph alive. And now they're frozen, the Wood Elf has run out, so I just need to DPS through. More freeze from Shark King. And this one's trying to slip past. Can I catch him? Shark King ultimate. There we go. Wonderful. And a bit closer than I had expected, but there you have it. That's one way you can do this mission. Again, my preference would be to have a Salavic and a Salazar down, just doing absolute massive damage. You can place one on the adjacent squares up above and below if these top are tanking. It's just if they slip past and start hitting them with the poison effect on them as well, the Rippers will just completely annihilate them, so you have to be very careful for that. Okay, there you have it. So that is how to beat the final boss of Chapter 5 and all difficulties, gaining all stars. I'll make sure to cover the rest of the chapters now as I finally finish them all. So look forward to those videos in the future. Thank you very much and have a nice day. Bye bye.